Welcome back to Parental Composure. We have a special guest today, and we're going to be talking about the different ways that kids learn. No. Alright. Welcome back to Parental Composure. Today we have a special guest, Hannah Rice, and we are going to be talking about the 3 different learning styles. Welcome back, everybody, to Parental Composure. We are here with Hannah Rice today, and we're going to be talking about the 3 different learning styles.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Ayers, and I'm here with Miss Elise and our special guest, Miss Hannah Rice. And this is Parental Composure. Gonna have to do it again. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Ayers, and I'm here with Miss Elise and our special guest, Miss Hannah Rice. And we're back with another... What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Ayers, and I'm here with Miss Elise and our special guest, Miss Hannah Rice. And we're back with another one of your favorite episodes of Parental Composure.
Yeah, we are.
And today we're going to talk about learning styles.
Yes, learning styles. And we kind of came up with this because we were talking about how we all kind of have different learning styles.
Absolutely.
So growing up, I was told in school about how there's 3 different primary learning styles. I'm sure that there's lots of sub-styles as well, and obviously all of us could maybe have more than one, but it definitely affects the way that you learn and how kind of effective and productive your learning is based on the way that you receive it. And so the 3 primary learning styles are visual, kinesthetic, and auditorial. So visual is basically you like to see examples, you like someone to show it to you. Basically anything that you're watching with your eyes is very helpful to you, and I would say that's probably my best learning style. So sometimes when someone's explaining a new board game to me, when they explain it verbally to me, like the whole game, I have no idea how
That's
to. Like,
a good example.
That is a good example.
I don't know if I want to call it because I'm not listening, because there might be cases where I tend to zone off a lot, so I blame it on that as well. Sometimes I need to listen better, but I will say that I think it has a lot to do with my learning style. Like, I just don't take in things well when someone explains a very long thing to me, like auditorially. So that's why when I play a new board game or something, I have to just watch or play around.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm kind of 70% visual and then about 30% kinesthetic, which kinesthetic is touch, feel. You want to kind of see things by touching them. So I'd say kids that are more kinesthetic, they do better playing with building blocks and counting with pieces of candy or just different things like that just help them kind of understand while touching it. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of goes into playing a board game. I like to do it as well as watch people play.
That's me.
And that helps me learn.
Mm-hmm. That's me too.
And then the last one, just so we explain all 3, is auditorial, which is basically you just prefer to hear things and you're very, I don't know, intellectual in the way that you listen to things. So I would say people that are probably better auditorial learners are actually musicians, because they can hear different musical notes and they can learn and make adjustments and things like that. So I would say each type of learning style can kind of benefit from different things in life, or may just tend to be better at things or have a better, in that case they have a better ear for music, because that's just, they're better at kind of listening to that kind of stuff. And I think they've also made a point that people that are kinesthetic are pretty good at sports, because they just learn by doing and acting and moving. So that's something that's easy for them to understand.
Yes.
And then visual, they say, is someone that's a little bit more creative and likes to see things and watch things and then kind of mimic and do all that kind of stuff, or draw inspiration from things that they see, which I think is definitely how I am. So yeah, I think, I'm sure your guys' kids have they probably experimented in different ways in school that they probably respond well to or don't respond well to, because I definitely remember that in school, things that I would and would not respond well to.
And I think I've said it on here before, but my oldest, he had an issue with math, and the best thing, I mean, like when I would try and help him, and like all our verbal, communication, trying to explain it to him would not stick. But then I read something on kinesthetic learning, and he would be bouncing a ball while we would talk about his questions that were going to be on his test or something. And it actually helped a ton. I couldn't believe how much that helped him.
Interesting.
Like a lot of teachers that maybe don't know this stuff or don't really incorporate it into their teaching style is, they think, well, this kid is, tapping their pencil, or they're doing this and they're getting distracted, and that's bad. But really, like with what you're saying, all these different learning styles, I mean, every kid learns differently. So something like that could actually help a child retain the information.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking about like me growing up, because I had a hard time, learning and things like that. But I used to do odd things like, bouncing a basketball. I'm not saying I did that, but just, doing odd things that helped. It just helped me.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden they were just screaming ADD, ADD,
right?
ADD.
Yeah.
And it's like, do they... And so now I'm thinking, do they actually put these learning styles into consideration when they start diagnosing for that? Because I can see how that can play off as, having ADD and stuff like that. But in reality, that maybe that's just the way they learn.
I know.
And it's like,
it's true.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Then I think about it. Of course, I think about it 25 years later.
Well, and it's like, it makes sense because we're, these kids that are kinesthetic learners, they're sitting in a classroom all day long. Mm-hmm. And that's not even the way that they learn. And so, there needs to be, I think there definitely needs to be some changes.
So kinesthetic is hands-on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to...
Yeah, it's very hands-on, and you can use like very literal objects to sort of like make sense of things like counting, or like you were saying, even just if they want to like sort of make a rhythm of like some sort of whatever it is to help them remember something, or like pass a ball around in a class to sort of like help remember things. I think that's definitely something that helps them learn a lot, which can't always be applied to everything you do, but I mean, it's something that you can always like put into practice if you think hard enough about it. And if they're struggling enough in a different type of like learning environment, then you might want to try something else. So I think that was kind of, I can't exactly pinpoint when they told us about this. I think I had to have been like maybe elementary school, middle school age, because it did, like, once you sort of start to reflect on the way that you've struggled or succeeded, it makes more sense. Like, okay, well, I did better when like someone like showed me it. Like, I think the example of the board game is the easiest way to describe my learning style. Is like, this happened to me like this weekend. I went to a game night with my friends, and like when they were explaining it to me, like they were just talking to me about it, I was not fully understanding. I really wasn't. I was like, I won't know how to play this game until I watch. Yes. So I kind of just I mean, I don't want to like not or encourage not listening to people if you think that you're not an auditorial listener, because it's a really good strength, I think, to take. Like, you can definitely try and transfer your strengths into other strengths, I'm sure, but or even someone that's very interested in music but isn't necessarily an auditorial learner, like they could even like watch like sound waves or like just watch the way that music happens or is made, that kind of thing, or watch someone play the guitar or whatever it is. I know plenty of people that, even famous musicians, that never knew how to play the guitar, and they just watched like YouTube videos and watched and like learned from people like Shawn Mendes. He actually learned how to play the guitar on YouTube, like so, and he's a very famous rock star now in his own right, plays the guitar. So it's pretty interesting how people learn and just how it kind of makes it easier or harder. Like I think a big issue and a point where I got punished a lot in school is I got distracted a lot and like didn't pay attention. And if a teacher was just standing there and doing the most boring lecture ever, just talking at me, I wouldn't pay attention at all. Yeah. Like, I loved when they had some sort of a visual aid, even if it was just like a boring PowerPoint that was better than nothing, or just pictures. Even in college, like, I remember I took this really like kind of like boring class about World War I, which World War I's not boring. She just made it so boring.
Yeah.
And like I was like thrilled anytime she put up like a photo. I was like, thank God, like I have something to look at. So it's just like little things like that. Like as a teacher, like my brother's a teacher, so I think they're probably doing a better job like educating teachers on that nowadays, especially younger kids that can't help it. Like you can't really get mad at them if they're like tapping their pencil, because who knows, like that might be helping them. Josh, my brother, he like has ADHD, and I mean, it was just something that whenever he was doing something or watching something, he like would tap a pencil, or he would take a straw out of a drink and like tap a straw, move a straw like this, twiddle it between his fingers. But I mean, I think sometimes if you have really hard time sitting still or need something for your hands to focus on, like as a kinesthetic learner, not even someone that has ADHD, I think a lot of people are like that. And it just, you focus better when like your hands are occupied with something, like bouncing a ball or whatever it is, like your son did. So,
and my middle son actually too, something that we found that would work for his teacher, because he's the same way. And so he would get these little hand puzzles that he could bring to class, and his teacher would be okay with that, like, you know, like the Rubik's cubes or those little things that you can move around. And he just, it's so crazy to me, because he'll just sit there and like look at you and listen, and he'd be like, what are you doing? That looks so weird, but it worked for him. And it's interesting.
Well, even my brother teaches middle school kids, and so I remember when they all went through the fidget spinner phase.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And Josh was kind of like the one teacher that wasn't ready to like completely rip it away from him, because like some of them, like maybe they did need it, like that kind of thing, because he's like, I needed something, and he's like, I always needed something to like play with or something to be able to pay attention, and so I didn't want to like completely like take that away from them. And I don't know, I think they found a middle ground, but like you can't be like distracting others with it, but if you just like quietly have it in your own hand, that's fine.
That's the difficult
sort of
part.
thing. So I know, I think teachers are it's probably not easy to appeal to each person's different learning style at all.
I know,
but
it's
I would say the most common one is probably though like kinesthetic and visual. I don't think there's too, like, I mean, I'm sure there are, but I don't know. I haven't really encountered like many people that have like made it apparent to me that they like have to just like listen to something.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, there's some people that prefer to do other things than like what is normal. Like they prefer to listen to an audiobook rather than read it, which could be that reason, or just because you're not a big reader or you have trouble like keeping your attention on it. Because I do that.
It's attention.
I am a visual learner, but like reading is, I don't know. I don't know.
Are you like that? Do you like to listen to stuff rather than read it?
No, if I'm listening to it, I'm the one that has to be doing it. You know, like if
like
let's
doing
just say
something while you're listening.
Yeah, like a lot of times if I don't know how to do something, I honestly just go to YouTube and learn it. But instead of watching it and then doing it, I'm the one who has to do it while they're explaining it. Because I had, you know, I don't know, I have a really short memory. Like I don't even know why, but it's like,
I do too.
Like if you explain something to me for 5 minutes and then you come back to me 5 minutes later and ask what you said, like I literally can only remember the first part of it. That's it.
I know.
And I think I've learned that about myself over the years, to where, you know, I never looked at it as it being a learning style until just now. But, you know, I guess I have told myself, look, you learn better this way. So, you know, if you got to fix this part on the car, I literally would bring either my phone or the computer over there and just do it at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I've tried many times over the years just listening to something and then doing it, and it's almost impossible for me.
Yeah, and I could see that. I'm similar. I think for me, it's more like repetition. Like I need patterns. And so like when I was learning in school, like I liked songs and like poems, you know, stuff like rhyming. And I noticed that like when I was teaching music for a while, like with voice and piano, like kids need repetition to be able to learn a certain song or a certain part of a song. It's just over and over and over again. And if you can do that, it helps. But I don't know where that falls in the line with, maybe that's another
Yeah, I mean, like I
Part of
said, I mean,
learning.
these are just like the 3 primary, but I'm sure there's like so many different tiers of just
Yeah.
like what helps you learn and different things like that. I know with songs and like different like acronyms and things like that, I've heard that it actually helps you remember because it activates both the left and right hemisphere of the brain. So you just have an easier time retaining it and keeping that information. So that's what I've heard about that. So that's why they still sort of go back to that same, like, because I mean, I don't know why, but I have a really great memory for movie and TV quotes and music lyrics.
I've noticed that with
some
you.
people do not. Like, my boyfriend cannot, like, remember music lyrics, or my mom, for the life of them. So I don't know. It kind of makes me think, like, maybe with certain things like that, I, like, trigger a different part of my brain where I am a really good listener. So, like, I don't know. I feel like your brain can definitely probably be selective as well. Because I always hated in school where I had to remember something that was so hard, and I was like, why the hell can I remember this Hillary Duff song that I haven't even heard since like 7th grade, but I can't remember this thing that I've been working on this semester all year long.
Yeah,
like
totally.
I just like
I'm really good with lyrics.
yeah,
Are
I'm
you?
very
I
good
am.
with lyrics. I think that's very fascinating, is like why people, I mean, who knows? It's like some people are more musical and maybe that's why they remember, or it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But now that I'm thinking about, like, I'm seriously thinking really hard while we're having this conversation.
It's
I'm, like,
it
thinking
gets your,
so hard.
It gets your wheels turning. I remember when I first, like, I think it was so, it like really stuck with me when I was younger, is because like it just like clicked for me. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. I'm a
'Cause
visual.
I'm thinking of the lyrics part. And if I think about it, that, you know, I'm really good with the lyrics, but all the songs that I'm good with lyrics at and stuff like that has a memory to it. So I was doing something
You
know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah.
when this certain song always played, and I learned it just because I know it from this certain thing. And it's, I don't know if I'm getting like too wrapped up in this.
No,
But,
I mean,
if somebody would explain this crap to me when I was
know,
younger,
right?
I might have been able to figure this whole school thing out.
It's true. I mean, and it does, like you're saying, like when you finally learn that you are not like, there's not something wrong with you, it's just that you learn a different way, it makes you feel better. And I think kids should know that kind of stuff, because it's like, I sucked at math growing up, but I was really good in art and music. And I was like, well, it's probably just because I'm more right-brained and not as much left brain, you know, and I learn different ways. And I think kids need to know that. Because, I don't know, I just think
it's all about kind of like experimenting and what works for you. And I think it's good for teachers and parents. I think as a parent, it's probably like a really great strength to be like, you know what, I've noticed this in my child.
It's actually huge.
Taking it to the teachers and being like, you know what, like he's really, I know, like the minute you start explaining to him something to him for longer than a half hour, him or her, and they just look at you with a blank stare, it's just because that's not the way that they prefer to learn. They'd rather stand up. Or I remember when we were in school, and especially elementary school, when like most kids can't really sit still. I loved it when we got to do like a math exercise while like moving around, because it's like it's not the easiest thing to plan. I feel for teachers, that's probably not the easiest lesson to build something around where you're moving around, but some of my teachers did it, and I really appreciated it because it sunk in more. I still remember like this one thing we did in 3rd grade that helped me. It really helped like fractions click for me because of the way that she had us like move around in a room. And it was like very creative. I was like, kudos to you, because I still remember that.
that's awesome.
And different like songs and things I still remember. So yeah, it's interesting. But I would argue that the hardest one for everyone is probably like auditorial. So like I give people props that are like really good listeners, and I think that's a skill that we all need to get better at for sure.
Yes.
Kids and adults. Because it's hard. It's hard to not, I think as an adult, I'm always thinking about what I'm gonna say next instead of just listening to what they're saying.
Oh yeah, that's a
And
normal
kids
thing.
probably have like a similar thing. It's like they're just thinking about other things, and it's hard to stay focused on that one thing. So if you give them something else that's keeping their brain occupied in like multiple different ways, I think it's more beneficial. for them, for sure.
Are you sure you're not a psychiatrist or anything?
I just like find this stuff so fascinating, and I just think it's so like the human brain is like insane, and everyone has their own blueprint that's like completely unique in their own, and I just think that is so cool. And fascinating.
Doesn't she sound like a neurosurgeon?
And kids.
She knows everything about the brain. I'm like, wow, you're like blowing me away with all this new stuff, Hannah.
Kids are like a sponge too, so they're like the most fascinating thing to think about, because that's like where you gain all like such important pieces of yourself is when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And it can explain why you're kind of messed up as an adult, which I think is crazy. Which is not good or bad, it doesn't matter. It's just like there might be a habit you took from when you were a kid that you still do as an adult, just because it's the way you learn. Like me, like even learning a board game back then, I probably would have felt the same way that I did now.
Yeah.
It's just how my brain works, and I like to watch. I don't like to hear about it.
Yes. Yeah. I can relate to that for sure.
Learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if any of you guys out there have any, experiences that you'd like to share, definitely put it in the comments below. Again, thank you, Hannah, for being our guest today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not an official trained psychologist or anything like that. So
no, but you do know.
That's my disclaimer.
It's okay. We just like having you on when we can.
I know. I love talking about this stuff. Thanks for having me.
Don't you just like wish you could just go back in time right now and just be like, wow, I just learned something new. I want to go back to elementary school.
Always.
Trust me, I didn't always know. I still have so much to learn and things I wish I would have known that I know now, for sure.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Agreed.
Well, just remember to visit our social pages, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and remember to subscribe and ring the bell, and we will see you all next time.